During our lockdown, I just watched The Case for Christ, and I highly recommend it. He gives some reasons to believe that Jesus was the Christ. You know, 1 Corinthians 15 verse 6 says that there were 500 witnesses to the risen Christ and that more than half were still alive. If you were going to promote a hoax, you would not say that 251 plus were still alive. You may say there were 500 witnesses, but you won't say more than half are still alive, because it would be easy to disprove if it wasn't true. You could say to Paul, okay, produce these witnesses. The fact that 1 Corinthians was accepted as scripture, strong reason to believe that there were 251 plus witnesses to the resurrection and that he did rise. Additionally, while people will die for a falsehood they think is true, you won't die for a falsehood you know is false. You won't die for your own hoax. All the apostles except for John, they tried to kill him by throwing him in boiling oil, legend says, and then he was exiled to the Isle of Patmos. All the other ones were murdered for their faith. You're not going to die for your own hoax. And if it was a hoax, the apostles would have known, because they would have been the ones who made it up. The fact that they all willingly met their fate and didn't recant is strong reason to believe in the resurrection. Additionally, the first witnesses that discovered that he was risen, the first witnesses at the tomb that saw he wasn't there, were women. It was a more sexist society back then. You wouldn't have had the people discovering that he was risen being women if you were going to create a hoax. Additionally, you would not have discrepancies. There aren't really contradictions. For example, one gospel says both thieves reviled Christ. Another one says one did and one was saved. You would have the stories exactly the same if you were promoting a hoax. Now, there's no contradiction, though. He was on the cross for 6 hours. During those 6 hours, both thieves reviled him, but one of them repented while on the cross and believed. You want another reason to believe in God? Look at that blue sky. Is there anything more beautiful than a blue sky? So listen, you wouldn't have the first people to discover that the tomb was empty be women. You wouldn't have people dying for their own hoax, and you wouldn't have Paul writing that 251 plus witnesses to resurrected Christ were still living at the time of writing. You don't do that stuff if you're promoting a hoax. He did rise. That's one of the most certain facts of history. Jesus is risen. Peace all. Goodbye.